Once upon a time, there was a little girl. Everyone called her Little Red Riding Hood because she always wore a red hood. One day, Little Red Riding Hood told her mother that she wanted to go to her grandmother, who was sick. Her mother said, "Take her this bread, wine, and cake. Be calm and don't call anyone on your way to the forest. The wolves will hear you." Little Red Riding Hood set off, and when she arrived in the forest, she met a wolf. The girl told the wolf that she was going to her grandmother's house and taking her food. The wolf said, "Why don't you take a longer and more beautiful path through the forest instead of following this path? Look, I'm almost there, and I'll be faster for you." While the wolf was distracting the girl, he went to her grandmother's house and arrived there before her. He entered the house, tied up the grandmother, and locked her in the bedroom. Then he put on her clothes and her hood. He lay down in bed and waited. When Little Red Riding Hood arrived at her grandmother's house, she knocked on the door, but she heard only a voice from inside saying, "Who is it?" "It's me, Little Red Riding Hood. I brought you bread, wine, and cake." "Can I open the door?" she asked. "Hurry up, my son," the wolf replied. "The door is already open." Little Red Riding Hood entered and went to her grandmother's bed. She asked the person lying in bed, "Grandmother, why do you have such big eyes?" "To see you better," replied the wolf. "Grandmother, why do you have such big ears?" the girl asked. "To hear you better," replied the wolf. "Grandmother, why do you have such big teeth?" the girl asked. "To eat you better," shouted the wolf, and jumped on her. Just then, a hunter hunting in the forest heard the loud noises coming from the grandmother's house. The wolf ate the grandmother, he thought, and quickly ran towards the house. When he arrived, instead of entering, he looked through the window and saw the wolf lying on the bed. The hunter immediately took out his gun and shot the wolf. The wolf died, and the hunter saved the grandmother and Little Red Riding Hood. Then he cut open the wolf's stomach and rescued the grandmother, and they returned home peacefully. However, the story did not end there. After the wolf's death, a group of wolves in the forest started chasing the girl. As she tried to escape, she climbed a tree. Just then, a group of hunters passing through the forest noticed her and decided to protect her from the wolves. After a long struggle with the wolves, the hunters saved the girl and took her to a safe place. Little Red Riding Hood learned a great lesson from her adventure. She said she would no longer go to the forest alone and trust strangers. When she talked about what happened to her grandmother told her to be more careful and knitted her a new hood. Little Red Riding Hood was now bigger, stronger, and wiser, and she was brave enough not to go to the forest alone. These events were just a part of Little Red Riding Hood's adventures. She encountered many more adventures in the enchanting world she lived in, and each one made her more mature. Little Red Riding Hood discovered the power and cunning of people and nature, and these experiences were a great lesson for her for the rest of her life.